cartel massacre has rocked Mexico once again. 20 mutilated bodies, several decapitated, were found hanging from a bridge or stuffed inside a van in Sinaloa, the heartland of the country's biggest drug war. Killings are the latest and most gruesome escalation in an internal war between rival factions of the Sinaloa cartel, one led by El Chapo's sons and the other by the son of imprisoned co-founder El Mayo Zambada. As the bodies pile up and alliances shift, the violence is spiraling out of control. Authorities are overwhelmed and the public terrified. The next report brings you more on the growing war that's gripping the nation.
In a scene straight out of a nightmare, Mexican authorities discovered 20 mutilated bodies near a highway bridge in Sinaloa, the heartland of one of the world's most violent drug wars. 4 were headless and hanging upside down from the bridge, while 16 more bodies were cramped inside a van below, and 5 severed heads lay stuffed inside a plastic bag like some horrific warning.
Trumps Kampf gegen illegale Einwanderung geht in die nächste Runde. In Florida eröffnete er jetzt eine neue Abschiebehaftanstalt, wegen ihrer Lage in den Everglades auch Alligator Alcatraz genannt. Das Gebiet ist von Sümpfen umgeben, in denen vor allem Alligatoren und Pythons leben.
And with the alligator Alcatraz, it's the idea that if some illegal immigrant escapes, they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something? I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business.
7-year-old Michael Brown is facing multiple charges after deputies say he threw a massive party at a Weddington home where he was hired just to do yard work there.
Stay tuned because this story is insane and he says he did nothing wrong.
All it took was a phone call to the real owners to know they weren't home, but hundreds of people without their knowledge were making it home. Secluded by trees at a home in Weddington, there was no hiding a several hundred-person pool party from curious neighbors Saturday.
That's not a venue. How are they managing this? So we were disturbed with all the traffic and the cars and the people.
When deputies arrived,
Julia River. Water surged over the top of the dam structures, causing a powerful rush downstream. The Julia River burst its banks in multiple locations. In Zhongyang, the Mianjiang River also overflowed its channel.
For years, I've used my camera to document the lives of those who risk everything to get to England. They've crossed continents and oceans and end their journey on boats that leave the north of France for Dover. Since January, over 8,000 people have reached the English coast, a record for this point in the year.
Diversity is when you say that there's, many different types. I think, when people say diversity and inclusion, I think everybody agrees, or most people generally agree that it's a good thing, right? But I think right now we also need to bring in the word equity.
A few moments later.
Linda's son, a former DEI officer and deputy chief of staff to Governor Kathy Hochul, faces serious federal charges related to a multi-million-dollar personal protective equipment, PPE, fraud and kickback scheme during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as allegations of acting as an unregistered foreign agent for the Chinese government.
Sie sollten für Recht und Ordnung sorgen. Nun sitzen Sie selbst auf der Anklagebank. Der Vorwurf, die Polizisten aus Hannover sollen 3 Jahre lang Kriminellen Geld abgenommen und es unterschlagen haben.
Insbesondere sollen sie unter dem Vorwand einer Polizeikontrolle verschiedenen albanischen Drogenhändlern Bargeld entwendet haben, ohne dieses als sichergestellt oder beschlagnahmt erfasst zu haben.
Take a look at this compact bricks of fentanyl with embedded numbers and names like the Cartoon Network and neatly hidden inside of car batteries. The Polk County Sheriff told us what you're looking at is 64 pounds of fentanyl worth about $4.5 million. Listen as he explains the impact of this amount of the potent drug making it to local neighborhoods.
We do have a crisis when 340,000 people have died in 5 years in the United States of America.
The 64 pounds of fentanyl powder and pills the sheriff says is enough to kill millions of people. Investigators say the group of people arrested are part of 2 different Mexican drug cartels who allegedly ran drugs through Arizona and Florida.
What's your job for the day? Well, right now I'm on security, so I can't. What organization are you with?
So who can go, or one of these members?
What organization are you with?
A day after the United States struck Iran's nuclear facilities, I went to a pro-Iran protest in New York City to ask people their thoughts on the strike. I ended up exposing multiple paid protesters and an NGO facilitating lawlessness all over the country. This is my biggest exposed video yet.
I'm a man in the community. God has my back. What do I have to do in this council in order to get respect as a black woman?
A few moments later.
Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson has just been taken into custody. Here's video from moments ago of the FBI outside a Dorchester home. We told you earlier this week the city councilor is under federal investigation, but neither she nor the city would tell us why.
Die Staatsanwaltschaft Bremen ermittelt in einem Fall des besonders schweren Diebstahls gegen insbesondere eine 28-jährige Bremerin. Und zwar steht diese Beschuldigte in dem dringenden Verdacht, am 21. Mai bei der Firma, bei der sie als Mitarbeiterin angestellt ist, eine hohe Geldsumme, nämlich mehrere Millionen Euro nach unserem aktuellen Ermittlungsstand.
Counts, we have a mixed verdict here. Again, count 1 as it relates to racketeering, not guilty. Count 2 as it relates to sex trafficking, not guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, not guilty. Count 5, guilty.
Those 2 counts he was